Have you ever noticed how January 1st arrives with so much promise, so much potential, and then somehow, almost mysteriously, you blink and half the month has vanished, leaving you wondering where all those intentions you set actually went? If you're watching this right now and feeling like your blessings are somehow stuck in cosmic traffic while everyone else seems to be living their best life, then what I'm about to share with you is going to completely transform the way you approach not just January, but your entire 2026. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, here's something most people don't realize about January and why it feels like your blessings are perpetually delayed. You see, we've been conditioned to treat manifestation like placing an order online. We set our intentions, we write in our journals, maybe we create a vision board, and then we sit back and wait for the universe to deliver our blessings like some kind of spiritual Amazon Prime. Has this ever happened to you? You do everything right, you follow all the manifestation techniques, you stay positive, and yet weeks go by and nothing seems to be changing. Meanwhile, you scroll through social media and it feels like everyone else is announcing their breakthroughs, their windfalls, their miracles, and you're left wondering what secret ingredient you're missing. The truth is, there's a fundamental shift that needs to happen in your consciousness. A shift that Joseph Murphy understood deeply when he taught about the power of the subconscious mind. Most people are approaching their blessings from a place of hoping and wishing, passive energy that keeps them perpetually in waiting mode. They're checking their spiritual doorstep every single day, getting increasingly frustrated and anxious, comparing their timeline to everyone else's, and slowly but surely slipping into doubt and disappointment as January continues to tick away. But what if I told you that blessings don't work on a delivery schedule? What if the entire paradigm you've been operating under is actually keeping your blessings at arm's length? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you and could be the very key that unlocks everything you've been seeking. The ancient wisdom that Joseph Murphy articulated so powerfully reveals that you're not meant to be a passive recipient waiting for blessings to find you. You're meant to be something far more powerful, something that changes the entire energetic dynamic between you and the abundance that's already yours. Right now, as January 2026 continues to unfold, there's still time to completely pivot your entire year, but it requires understanding a principle that most people never learn. Here's what I need you to understand right from the start, and this might actually bring you some relief. The frustration you're feeling right now about your delayed blessings, about watching January slip through your fingers while your dreams seem to stay just out of reach, that frustration is completely valid. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not broken. You're not being punished by the universe, and you're certainly not less deserving than anyone else who seems to be manifesting effortlessly. The real issue is that you've been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about how this entire process actually works. And it's not even your fault, because this misunderstanding has been passed down through generations of spiritual teaching that missed one critical element. Think about it for a moment. You've probably tried all the right things. You've set clear goals, maybe even written them down with specific dates and numbers. You've created vision boards filled with images of your dream life. You've repeated affirmations in the mirror every morning, trying to convince yourself and the universe that you're ready for abundance. You've visualized, you've meditated, you've stayed positive even when circumstances seem to contradict everything you were affirming. And yet here you are, still waiting, still wondering when your breakthrough moment is going to arrive. This isn't because those techniques are wrong. Vision boards work, Affirmations have power. Positive thinking creates real neurological changes in your brain. The problem is that there's a missing piece, a hidden truth that separates those rare individuals who seem to collect blessings, like they're picking flowers in a garden, from those who are constantly struggling and second-guessing their worthiness. If you're ready for content that actually creates real transformation, subscribe to this channel. This is where we combine spiritual wisdom with practical tools you can use immediately. Joseph Murphy discovered this truth decades ago when he was studying the relationship between conscious intention and subconscious manifestation. What he realized was that most people are approaching their desires from a position of lack, from a place of hoping and wishing and begging the universe for something they don't currently have. This creates a fundamental energetic contradiction because you're essentially affirming the absence of what you want. Every single time you ask for it, your conscious mind is saying, "I want abundance," while your subconscious mind is registering, "I don't have abundance, which is why I'm asking for it." This internal conflict is the invisible barrier that keeps your blessings perpetually just beyond your grasp. And it's the reason why January can pass by without the transformation you were expecting. Now, I want to go even deeper into this because understanding the mechanics of why this happens is what's going to give you the power to shift everything. The journey from where you are to where you want to be isn't about doing more manifestation techniques. It's about fundamentally changing the position from which you're operating. And that revelation changes absolutely everything. Write in the comments, "I'm ready for the shift." So here's where everything you thought you knew about manifestation gets turned completely upside down. And I promise you this is going to make so much sense once you hear it. The revolutionary shift that Joseph Murphy taught, the one that changes everything, is this: you don't attract blessings, and you don't even manifest them in the traditional sense that most people teach. What you actually do is command them. You call them forth. You speak them into existence with the kind of authority that comes from someone who knows deep in their bones that these blessings already belong to them. This isn't about arrogance or entitlement. It's about recognizing a fundamental truth, about how spiritual law actually operates. When you're trying to attract something, you're still operating from that place of separation, still implying that the thing you want is somewhere out there, and you're hoping it notices you and comes your way. But when you command something, you're operating from a completely different paradigm. One where you understand that everything you could ever need or want already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibility, and your role is simply to claim it with certainty and bring it into your physical reality. Now, I know what you might be thinking right now. You might be saying to yourself, "But I've been hoping for good things to happen. I've been staying optimistic. Isn't that enough?" And here's the truth that nobody really talks about. Hope is absolutely beautiful. Hope has its place in the human experience. But hope without command is essentially powerless. Think of it this way. Imagine you're sitting in a brand new car with luxurious leather seats, a powerful engine, every feature you could possibly want. You sit there admiring the dashboard, enjoying the comfort, feeling grateful for this vehicle. But if you never turn the key, if you never engage the engine and put it in drive, you're not going anywhere. You can sit in that car for hours, days, weeks, admiring every detail, but you'll still be in the exact same parking spot. That's what hope without command looks like. It's passive appreciation without active engagement. It's wishing without deciding. It's wanting without claiming. The impact of this realization on your entire manifestation journey cannot be overstated, because once you understand that you're meant to be commanding your reality rather than hoping for it, your entire energy shifts from receptive and waiting to active and authoritative. This is the hidden truth behind why some people seem to effortlessly move through life, collecting blessing after blessing, while others struggle despite doing all the right spiritual practices. The difference isn't in how worthy they are, or how much they've suffered, or how pure their intentions are. The difference is in the position they're operating from. Are they hoping, or are they commanding? Are they asking, or are they claiming? Are they waiting for permission from the universe, or are they stepping into their divine authority and declaring what is already theirs? These might seem like subtle distinctions in language, but the energetic difference between these positions creates completely different outcomes. When you command your blessings for January, when you speak with that level of certainty about what 2026 holds for you, you're no longer a beggar at the universe's door. You become a co-creator who understands their role in the divine design, and that transformation in consciousness is where all the real magic begins to happen. Now let me show you something absolutely fascinating that bridges the gap between ancient spiritual wisdom and modern science, because when you understand what's actually happening inside your body and brain, when you command versus when you hope, you'll never approach your blessings the same way again. Your words and your thoughts aren't just abstract concepts floating around in your head doing nothing. They're actual vibrations. They're measurable energy frequencies. And there's a fundamental principle in physics that like energy attracts like energy. When you speak with authority, when you declare something with absolute knowing and certainty, your entire nervous system responds in a completely different way than when you're wishing, hoping, or begging for something to happen. This isn't mystical theory. This is measurable physiology. The moment you shift from, "I hope I can pay my bills this month," to, "I command abundant resources to flow to me now," something remarkable happens in your body at the cellular level. What neuroscience has discovered is that speaking with authority, with that sense of command and certainty, literally creates different neural pathways in your brain compared to the pathways activated by hopeful wishing. Your brain starts firing in patterns associated with action, decision-making, and ownership, rather than patterns associated with waiting, uncertainty, and dependence. Beyond just the neural pathways, your body begins producing different chemicals. The hormones and neurotransmitters released when you're in command mode are fundamentally different from those released when you're in hoping mode. Command mode activates testosterone, dopamine, and other chemicals associated with confidence and forward momentum. Hoping mode, on the other hand, often triggers cortisol and other stress hormones because hoping inherently contains uncertainty and the fear of disappointment. This biochemical difference isn't trivial. It determines how you show up in the world, how you carry yourself, what opportunities you notice, what risks you're willing to take, and how other people respond to your energy. The impact of this transformation ripples outward in ways you might not immediately recognize. When you're operating in command consciousness, you walk differently, you speak differently, you make eye contact differently, you handle challenges differently. You become a different vibrational match for the experiences and people and opportunities that enter your life. The world, being the mirror that it is, has no choice but to reflect this shifted energy back to you. This is why two people can say the exact same affirmation, "I am financially abundant," and one person experiences breakthrough while the other sees no change. The difference isn't in the words themselves, but in the energetic frequency, the neurological state, and the biochemical reality behind those words. One person is commanding from a place of knowing, creating those powerful neural pathways and chemical responses that literally reshape their reality. The other is hoping from a place of lack, reinforcing the very patterns and chemistry that keep them stuck. Understanding this distinction at such a deep scientific level removes any doubt about why commanding your January blessings isn't just spiritual fluff. It's actual cause and effect operating through natural law. Write in the comments, "My energy is shifting." Let me give you a perfect illustration of what this commanding energy looks like in practice, and once you see this, you'll never be able to unsee it. Imagine a ship's captain standing on the bridge of their vessel, navigating through stormy waters. When they need to change course, they don't turn to their crew and say something like, if it's okay with everyone, maybe we could possibly consider perhaps turning left if that works for you. That would create chaos and confusion. Instead, they give a clear, decisive command. Hard to starboard. There's no hesitation, no apology, no room for doubt. The crew responds instantly. Because there's unmistakable authority in that command. There's certainty. There's clarity. That captain isn't being rude or aggressive. They're simply operating in their role with complete confidence in their authority to direct the ship. This is exactly how you need to start speaking to your life, to January, to all of 2026, and to every blessing that has your name written on it. But here's where people often get confused, and I want to clear this up right now because it's crucial to your transformation. When I say you need to command your blessings, I'm not suggesting you become demanding, aggressive, or entitled. There's a massive difference between those two energies, and understanding this distinction is what separates authentic spiritual power from ego-driven force. Commanding from a genuine spiritual perspective isn't about bullying the universe or throwing tantrums until you get what you want. It's not about manipulation or trying to bend reality to your will through sheer force of personality. True commanding is something far more elegant and powerful. It's about aligning yourself so completely, so thoroughly, with the divine plan that already exists for your life, that you simply call forward what's already been prepared for you. Think of it like this. Somewhere in the invisible realm, in that field of infinite potential that Joseph Murphy spoke about so eloquently, every blessing you could ever need already exists with your name on it. Your dream relationship, your financial breakthrough, your perfect health, your creative fulfillment, all of it is already there, already real in the quantum field, waiting for you to claim it. When you command from this understanding, you're not creating something out of nothing. You're not forcing the universe to give you something it doesn't want to give. You're recognizing what's already yours and calling it into manifestation in the physical world. It's the difference between a thief breaking into a house to steal something and a homeowner walking through their own front door with their key. Both might result in entering the house, but the energy, the authority, and the rightness of those two actions are completely different. You're not stealing your blessings from a reluctant universe. You're claiming what already belongs to you, and when you operate from that place of divine alignment rather than desperate demanding, the entire journey becomes easier, more graceful, and infinitely more powerful. Write in the comments, "I align with my divine plan." So when you really grasp this concept of commanding, you start to see that it's fundamentally about recognition rather than force. It's about looking at your blessing, whether that's financial abundance, vibrant health, meaningful relationships, or creative success, and saying with complete conviction, "I see you, I recognize you, I know you're already mine, come forth now." There's no begging in that statement, no pleading, no uncertainty. It's pure recognition and claim. You're not trying to manipulate the universe into giving you something it doesn't want to give you. You're not attempting to force reality to bend to your will through sheer mental effort. You're simply acknowledging what already exists in the spiritual realm and calling it into your physical experience with the same certainty that you'd call your own child who's playing in another room. That child is already yours. You're not hoping they'll become yours. You're not trying to attract them to be yours. They simply are yours. And when you call them, you do so with complete authority and expectation that they'll respond. Here's what makes this so beautifully simple once you see it. And you're going to laugh when you realize how often you already do this in your daily life without even thinking about it. When you're thirsty, when your body needs water, you don't sit around hoping that water might possibly find its way to you if the universe deems you worthy enough. You don't spend time wondering whether you deserve hydration or whether you've been good enough to receive the blessing of quenching your thirst. You simply get up, walk to the kitchen, fill a glass with water, and drink it. There's absolutely no drama involved, no spiritual crisis, no questioning. You command your body to move, you command the faucet to provide water, you command the glass to be filled, and you drink. The entire process happens with such natural authority that you don't even recognize it as commanding. But that's exactly what it is. You're operating from a place of absolute knowing that water is available, that you have access to it, and that satisfying your thirst is your right. This is the exact energy, the precise mindset, the identical vibrational frequency that you need to bring to every single blessing you're calling into your life this January and throughout 2026. When you want financial abundance, you need to approach it with the same matter-of-fact certainty that you approach getting water when you're thirsty. When you're calling forth your ideal relationship, you need that same casual confidence you have when you reach for a glass. When you're commanding perfect health, bring that same drama-free expectation. The reason this works so powerfully is because when there's no doubt, when there's no fear of disappointment, when there's just pure expectation and natural action, you become an unstoppable force of manifestation. You stop sending those mixed signals to the universe, where 1 minute you're affirming abundance and the next minute you're panicking about bills. Instead, you operate from a unified field of consciousness, where your thoughts, words, feelings, and actions are all aligned in the same direction, all vibrating at the same frequency of certainty and command. Write in the comments, "I claim it with certainty." Now here's where we need to get brutally honest about what's really causing the delays in your blessings, because once you see this pattern in yourself, you won't be able to ignore it anymore. Most of the time, when your blessings seem stuck, when January is passing by and nothing is changing, the delay isn't out there in the external world. It's right here in your consciousness. It's in the mixed messages you're constantly sending out into the universe without even realizing it. You wake up in the morning, you do your affirmations, you declare with conviction that you're financially abundant, you feel that surge of positive energy, and then 2 hours later, you're on the phone with a friend, complaining about how broke you are and how nothing ever works out for you. You're literally broadcasting two completely opposite frequencies, and the universe doesn't know which one you actually mean. It's like trying to tune into a radio station, but constantly switching back and forth between two different frequencies. All you get is static and confusion instead of a clear signal. Think back to that ship captain analogy we talked about earlier. Imagine if that captain gave the command hard to starboard, and then 30 seconds later shouted, actually hard to port, and then a minute after that yelled, no wait, straight ahead, and kept changing directions every few minutes. The crew would be absolutely bewildered. The ship would essentially go nowhere, spinning in circles, making no real progress toward any destination. That's exactly what's happening when you give the universe contradictory commands. One moment you're affirming that you're worthy of deep, authentic love. You're visualizing your ideal partner. You're feeling grateful for the relationship that's coming. The next moment you're stalking your ex's social media, comparing yourself to their new partner, spiraling into feelings of rejection and unworthiness. One moment you're commanding perfect health and vitality, the next moment you're telling everyone who'll listen about all your symptoms and problems. These aren't just harmless thoughts or innocent conversations. They're actual energetic commands that your subconscious mind takes completely seriously. Your nervous system, your subconscious programming, and yes, the universe itself, all become genuinely confused when you keep flip-flopping between command and complaint, between certainty and doubt, between claiming your blessings and declaring your lack. The impact of this confusion is that you essentially cancel out your own manifestations before they have a chance to. fully materialize. You're like someone planting seeds in a garden and then digging them up the next day to check if they're growing, then replanting them, then digging them up again. The seeds never have a chance to take root and flourish because you keep disrupting the process with your contradictory actions. This revelation about mixed messaging is probably one of the most important things you'll ever understand about why your manifestations haven't been working the way you hoped they would. And the beautiful part is that once you see this pattern, you can immediately begin to correct it. Write in the comments, "I choose consistency now." Now let me share something with you that's going to completely shift your perspective on why January holds such incredible power for transformation. And it starts with understanding the deeper meaning behind this month's name. January is named after Janus, the ancient Roman god who was depicted with two faces, one face looking backward at the past, and one face looking forward into the future. And isn't it fascinating how perfectly this symbolizes what most people actually do wrong during this crucial month? They spend half their mental and emotional energy looking backward at everything that went wrong last year, replaying all the failed attempts, all the disappointments, all the reasons why this year might end up being just like the last one. Then they spend the other half of their energy anxiously peering into the future, worrying about all the things that could go wrong, all the obstacles that might appear, all the ways their plans could fall apart. Meanwhile, the present moment, the only moment where you actually have any real power, the only moment where transformation can actually occur, is being completely ignored and wasted. This is such a critical revelation because your blessings don't exist in the past, and they don't exist in some distant future when you finally get your act together, lose the weight, pay off the debt, or become the perfect version of yourself. Your blessings exist right now, in this present moment, in potential form. They're here already, vibrating at a frequency that's ready to collapse into physical reality the moment you command them with certainty. Joseph Murphy understood this principle deeply when he taught about the timeless nature of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't operate in past or future. It only knows now. When you're constantly dwelling on past failures, you're essentially commanding your subconscious to recreate those same patterns in your present. When you're obsessively worrying about future problems, you're programming your subconscious to manifest those very problems you're trying to avoid. The hidden truth that changes everything is understanding that your job isn't to wait for some perfect future moment when conditions are finally right to receive your blessings. Your job is to speak them into manifestation right now, from exactly where you are, with whatever resources you currently have. This doesn't mean ignoring practical realities or pretending everything is perfect when it's not. It means recognizing that the power to transform your circumstances exists in this present moment, not in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's anxieties. When you bring all of your consciousness into the now, when you stop fragmenting your energy between past and future, you become an incredibly focused beam of manifestation power. Think of it like sunlight through a magnifying glass. When that light is scattered, it's just pleasant warmth. But when it's focused into a single point, it can literally start a fire. That's what happens when you bring all your attention, all your belief, all your commanding energy into this present moment. Write in the comments, "I choose the power of now." Now let me give you something incredibly practical that you can start using immediately to command your January blessings. And what I love about this framework is that it's elegantly simple, yet profoundly powerful when you actually apply it. There are 3 essential steps to commanding any blessing into your reality, and these work whether you're calling forth financial abundance, vibrant health, meaningful relationships, creative breakthroughs, or any other desire your heart holds. The 3 steps are: see it with absolute clarity, say it with unwavering authority, and secure it through aligned action. That's the entire formula, and the beauty of its simplicity is that you can't get lost in complexity or overthinking, But here's where most people go wrong. They rush through these steps superficially without really understanding the depth and power contained in each one, and that's why their results remain inconsistent or non-existent. Let's start with the first step, seeing it, because this is where the transformation truly begins in your consciousness. When I say see it, I'm not talking about casual daydreaming where you vaguely imagine something nice happening to you someday. Daydreaming is pleasant, but it's unfocused and powerless. What we're talking about here is intentional visualization with feeling, and that last part, with feeling, is absolutely crucial. And it's the element that most people completely leave out. You need to create a vivid mental image of your blessing as if it's already yours right now, and then you need to feel what it feels like to have that blessing in your hands, in your life, in your reality, at this very moment. If you're commanding financial abundance, don't just picture numbers in your bank account. Feel the relief washing over you when you check your balance. Feel the freedom of knowing you can make choices without financial stress. Feel the joy of being generous with people you love. Feel the security of having a comfortable cushion that protects you from emergencies. If you're commanding a loving relationship, feel the warmth of being truly seen and appreciated by your partner. Feel the laughter bubbling up during shared moments. Feel the comfort of companionship when you're going through difficult times. Feel the excitement of building a future together. If you're commanding vibrant health, feel the energy coursing through your body when you wake up in the morning. Feel the strength in your muscles as you move through your day. Feel the clarity in your mind when you're tackling challenging projects. Feel the vitality that makes you excited to be alive. The reason feelings are so essential is because your subconscious mind communicates primarily through emotion, not logic. You can tell yourself something is true 1,000 times, but if you don't feel it as true, your subconscious remains unconvinced and your reality stays unchanged. Feelings are the secret fuel that powers the manifestation engine, and when you combine clear visualization with authentic emotional resonance, you create an unstoppable force of creative energy that literally begins reshaping your neural pathways and your external circumstances simultaneously. Once you understand that feelings are the fuel that powers your entire manifestation process, everything changes in terms of how you approach your blessings. This is the secret ingredient that most people completely omit from their practice, and then they wonder why their visualizations seem to lead nowhere. Think of it this way: your thoughts are like a match, full of potential energy, but unable to create warmth or light on their own. Your feelings are the fuel, the combustible material that actually creates the fire. When you bring a match and fuel together, that's when you get real transformation, real heat, real power that can change your entire environment. Without that emotional engagement, without truly feeling your blessings as already present, your visualizations remain nothing more than pleasant mental movies that entertain you for a few minutes, but create zero impact on your actual reality. This is why some people can visualize for years without seeing any meaningful change, while others seem to manifest almost immediately. The difference is in the depth of feeling they're bringing to their practice. Joseph Murphy understood this principle deeply, teaching that the subconscious mind accepts whatever is impressed upon it with feeling and conviction. You can think about abundance all day long, but if you're not feeling abundant, if you're not experiencing those emotions of freedom and security and joy right now, in your visualization practice, then you're essentially asking your subconscious to create something you yourself don't believe in. But when you combine clear mental imagery with powerful emotion, when you actually feel the reality of your blessing in your body as you visualize it, you create an undeniable impression on your subconscious that it has no choice but to externalize into your physical experience. Now let's move to the second step of the framework, which is saying it out loud with complete authority and conviction. This is where you take everything you've been visualizing and feeling internally, and you give it voice, you give it sound, you give it vibration in the physical world through your spoken words. I want you to actually say your commands out loud, not whispered under your breath like you're embarrassed, not mumbled so quietly that even you can barely hear them, but declared with the kind of authority that leaves no room for doubt or question. I command financial abundance to flow to me now. I call forth perfect health in every cell of my body. I declare that meaningful relationships are manifesting in my life right now. Speak these words like you absolutely mean them, like you're the one in charge of your reality. Because here's the truth that most people forget. You are in charge. You're not a victim of circumstances. You're not at the mercy of some capricious universe that randomly distributes blessings based on worthiness. You are a co-creator with divine intelligence, and when you speak with that level of certainty and command, you're actually activating universal laws that must respond to your direction. Here's something that will fundamentally shift your entire relationship with the universe and with your blessings. When you're speaking these commands, when you're declaring your reality with authority, you need to understand that you're not begging some distant judgmental deity who's sitting on a cloud deciding whether you're worthy enough to receive what you're asking for. That old paradigm of spiritual supplication, of pleading for favors from an external source that may or may not grant your requests based on some arbitrary measure of worthiness, that's not how any of this actually works. What you're really doing when you command your blessings is aligning yourself with the infinite intelligence that already exists inside you, the divine spark that's been there all along, the creative power that's already conspiring for your highest good. Every blessing you could ever desire already has your name on it, already exists in the field of infinite potential, already belongs to you by divine right. This understanding completely transforms the energy of commanding, because you're no longer approaching it from a position of lack or unworthiness. You're simply recognizing what's already true and calling it into physical manifestation. It's the difference between a beggar asking for coins and a rightful heir claiming their inheritance. Both might receive something, but the energy, the certainty, and the relationship to what's being received are entirely different. When you align with this truth, when you really internalize that the universe isn't withholding your blessings until you prove yourself worthy, but rather that everything is already available and you're simply learning to tune into the right frequency, your entire approach becomes more relaxed, more confident, more natural. Now let's talk about the third and final step of the framework, which is where most people completely drop the ball despite doing the first two steps beautifully. This step is about securing your blessing through aligned action, through acting as if what you've visualized and declared is already yours. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect when it's not, and it certainly doesn't mean being irresponsible or reckless. What it means is that you start making choices and taking actions that are consistent with the reality you're commanding into existence. If you're commanding financial abundance, you begin managing the money you currently have with wisdom and respect, treating every dollar like it matters, because that's how abundant people think. If you're commanding a loving relationship, you start treating yourself with the love and respect you desire from a partner, creating space in your life for that person to arrive, showing up as the best version of yourself rather than waiting to become that person after the relationship appears. If you're commanding vibrant health, you begin honoring your body right now with movement, nourishment, and rest that support well-being, rather than waiting until you feel healthy to start making healthy choices. The impact of this aligned action cannot be overstated, because this is how you demonstrate to the universe, to your subconscious mind, and to yourself that you genuinely believe what you've been declaring. Anyone can visualize and speak commands, But when you actually live as if those commands have already been answered, you become an irresistible magnet for the manifestation of those blessings. Here's a truth that might make you uncomfortable at first, but once you fully absorb it, it becomes the most liberating understanding you could ever have. The universe doesn't actually respond to what you say, no matter how eloquently you speak your affirmations or how loudly you declare your commands. What the universe responds to, what reality actually mirrors back to you, is what you are at the deepest level of your being. This is why you can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times a day, and still be broke if your actual way of being in the world contradicts that statement. You become what you consistently practice, not what you occasionally affirm. Your reality is shaped by the sum total of your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions, repeated over time until they become your identity, your energetic signature, your vibrational frequency that broadcasts out into the quantum field and draws matching experiences back to you. This is why the third step of securing your blessing through aligned action is so absolutely critical to the entire process. When your actions match your declarations, when your daily choices reflect the reality you're commanding, when your behavior is consistent with the person who already has what you desire, you become a unified, energetic field with no internal contradiction. And when there's no contradiction, when every part of you is aligned and pointing in the same direction, manifestation becomes inevitable rather than hopeful. It's like the difference between trying to row a boat when half the rowers are pulling one direction and half are pulling the opposite direction, versus when everyone is synchronized and moving together. The speed and ease of progress are incomparable. Now I want to talk about why January specifically holds such extraordinary power for this kind of transformation, and why right now, even if we're already partway through the month, you still have access to energies that won't be this available again until next year. January represents something profound in the collective consciousness of humanity. It's a reset point, a fresh start, a clean slate. Every culture on Earth recognizes this transition from old year to new year as significant, and that collective recognition creates an actual opening in the field of possibility. Think of it like this. For these first few weeks of January, there's a doorway standing wide open between the reality you've been living and the reality you want to create. The veil between what is and what could be becomes thinner, more permeable, easier to cross through. This isn't just mystical talk. It's about understanding how collective human consciousness creates energetic pathways that individual consciousness can then utilize. When millions of people simultaneously believe that transformation is possible, at the new year, when everyone is setting intentions and imagining better futures, that collective energy creates a momentum that you can ride like a wave, making your personal transformation significantly easier than it would be during other times of the year, when that doorway isn't as accessible. Write in the comments, "I step through the doorway." But here's what happens to most people when they encounter this doorway of possibility that January offers. And I want you to pay close attention, because you might recognize yourself in this pattern. They step up to that threshold with excitement and hope. They peek through and see all the incredible potential waiting for them on the other side. They feel that surge of "this is my year" energy coursing through their veins. And then, just as they're about to step through, fear rushes in like a flood. They start remembering all the times they tried before and failed. They start hearing the voices of doubt, their own internal critic and the opinions of others who've told them to be realistic, to stop dreaming, to accept their limitations. They start questioning whether they really deserve what they're reaching for, whether they have what it takes, whether people like them actually get to live that kind of life. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, they begin backing away from the doorway. By mid-January, they've retreated completely, right back to the familiar territory of their old patterns, their old limitations, their old story. about why things never change for them. The tragedy is that they were so close, standing right at the threshold of genuine transformation, and they let fear pull them back into the comfort of familiar misery. But you don't have to repeat that pattern this year. And understanding what you're actually doing when you command your blessings will give you the courage to step through that doorway and stay on the other side. Here's the revelation that changes everything about how you approach manifestation. When you command your blessings, when you speak them into existence with authority and certainty, you're not actually creating something out of nothing. You're not manufacturing a reality that doesn't exist yet. What you're really doing is revealing what was always there, waiting for you in the infinite field of possibility. Every single blessing you could ever desire. The financial abundance, the perfect health, the loving relationships, the creative fulfillment, the inner peace. All of it already exists right now in quantum potential. Joseph Murphy taught this principle brilliantly when he explained that the subconscious mind has access to infinite intelligence and infinite creative power. Your dreams aren't random fantasies that might or might not come true depending on luck or divine favor. They're glimpses of realities that already exist in potential form, waiting for your consciousness to collapse them from the wave of possibility into the particle of physical manifestation. This understanding completely transforms your relationship with your desires because you're no longer hoping the universe will create something special just for you. You're recognizing that it already has, that your blessings have been prepared and are simply waiting for you to claim them with the authority of someone who knows they already belong to you. The journey from invisible to visible, from potential to actual, from quantum to physical, happens through your focused consciousness combined with aligned action. Let me give you an analogy that makes this concept of tuning into your blessings incredibly clear and practical. Think about how a radio works for a moment. Right now, in the space around you, there are dozens, maybe hundreds of radio stations all broadcasting simultaneously. Classical music, rock, talk shows, news, jazz. All of these different frequencies are moving through the air in your room right this second, but you're only hearing silence. Or perhaps you're only hearing the one station your radio is currently tuned to. Now here's the important part. When you want to hear a different station, you don't sit there begging the radio to please change stations if it deems you worthy. You don't hope that maybe the radio will randomly switch to the music you prefer. You simply turn the dial. You adjust the frequency until you're aligned with the broadcast you want to receive. That's exactly what you're doing with your consciousness when you command your blessings. All the blessings, all the abundance, all the possibilities are already broadcasting, already available in the field. The only question is what frequency you're tuned to. When you're dwelling on past failures, complaining about current circumstances, worrying about future problems, you're tuned to the frequency of lack and limitation. When you command your blessings with authority, visualize them with feeling, and act as if they're already yours, you're literally turning the dial of your consciousness to the frequency where those blessings already exist and are waiting to be received. This isn't metaphorical. Your thoughts and emotions create measurable electromagnetic frequencies, and those frequencies determine what you're attracting, or more accurately, what you're allowing yourself to perceive and receive from the infinite field of possibility. Now here's why the decisions you make right now in January carry such extraordinary weight for your entire year, and why you absolutely cannot afford to waste these precious weeks. There's something I call the January momentum effect, and understanding this principle will motivate you to take immediate action rather than waiting for the perfect moment. Whatever patterns you establish in January, whatever habits you lock in, whatever energetic frequency you consistently broadcast during these opening weeks of the year, that tends to carry forward through all 12 months. It's like setting the trajectory of an arrow. A tiny adjustment at the moment of release, just a fraction of a degree difference in angle, creates a massive difference in where that arrow lands dozens of yards away. If you spend January in command mode, speaking life over your circumstances, expecting blessings, taking aligned action, you're setting yourself up for 12 months of that momentum building and compounding. But if you spend January in the same old victim consciousness, complaining and doubting and waiting for life to happen to you, you're programming that pattern to repeat month after month until December arrives, and you're wondering why another year has passed without meaningful change. Now maybe you're watching this, and a voice in your head is saying, "But I already wasted the first half of January. I already messed up. I already fell back into old patterns." If that's what you're thinking right now, I need you to hear this clearly. It is never, ever too late to step into your authority and start commanding your blessings. Never. It doesn't matter if it's January 15th or January 30th, or even if you're watching this in February or March. The moment you decide to shift your consciousness, the moment you choose to stop waiting and start commanding, that moment becomes your new beginning. Time is far more flexible than most people realize, especially when you're working with spiritual law and the power of consciousness. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious mind exists outside of linear time, which means your decision right now to change your trajectory has the power to influence not just your future, but even to reframe and heal your past. The impact of a single decision made with complete commitment can outweigh months or even years of half-hearted efforts. So please release any guilt or regret about time you think you've wasted and make the decision right now, in this present moment, to become someone who commands their blessings with authority. Your new year, your real transformation, begins the instant you claim it, regardless of what the calendar says. But here's something crucial I need to share with you about how to actually implement this commanding process effectively, because this is where a lot of people sabotage themselves without even realizing it. When you first grasp this concept of commanding your blessings, there's a natural tendency to get excited and try to command everything all at once. You want financial abundance and perfect health and an ideal relationship, and career success and inner peace and creative fulfillment all simultaneously. And while all of these things are absolutely available to you, trying to focus your commanding energy on everything at once is like trying to dig 10 shallow holes instead of one deep well. You expend a lot of energy, but never break through to the water. What I want you to do instead is choose one thing, just one primary blessing that would make the biggest difference in your life right now if it manifested. Maybe it's financial relief that would ease the constant stress you're carrying. Maybe it's a health breakthrough that would give you your vitality back. Maybe it's a relationship that would end the loneliness. Maybe it's a career opportunity that would finally let you use your gifts. Whatever that one thing is for you, that's where you focus the full power of your commanding consciousness. Pour your visualization into that one blessing. Speak your authority over that one area. Take aligned action toward that one goal. When you concentrate your energy this way, when you become laser-focused rather than scattered, you create an unstoppable momentum that actually makes it easier for all the other blessings to flow to you as well. Because success in one area raises your overall vibration and opens doors you didn't even know existed. Write in the comments, "I focus on my one thing." Now I'm going to give you a specific practice that will anchor everything we've been talking about into your physical reality. And I want you to actually do this, not just nod along and think about doing it later. This is where theory transforms into tangible results, where understanding becomes embodiment. Take out an actual piece of paper, not your phone, not your laptop, but real paper with a real pen. Because there's something profoundly powerful about the physical act of writing that creates a neurological imprint digital typing simply cannot replicate. When you Write by hand, you're engaging different parts of your brain. You're creating a kinesthetic memory. You're literally impressing your intention into matter. Now write your command in present tense, as if it's already accomplished, already done, already yours. This is absolutely critical to get right. Don't write, "I want $10,000," or "I hope to have financial abundance someday." Write, "I have $10,000 flowing into my bank account," or "I am living in complete financial freedom right now." The difference between "I want" and "I have" might seem subtle, but energetically they're worlds apart. "I want" affirms lack and separation from your desire. "I have" affirms possession and present reality. Be as specific as possible with your command, because vague intentions produce vague results. If it's health, don't just write, "I am healthy." Write, "I am radiating vibrant health. My body functions perfectly. Every cell is filled with life force energy." If it's a relationship, describe the qualities, the feelings, the reality you're commanding into existence. Once you've written your command with clarity and specificity, here's what I want you to commit to for the rest of January and, honestly, for the rest of 2026. Every single morning, before you do anything else, before you check your phone or scroll social media or dive into your to-do list, I want you to read that command out loud with absolute conviction and authority. And every single night before you go to sleep, when your subconscious mind is most receptive, read it again with that same commanding energy. This isn't a suggestion or a nice idea if you have time. This is the practice that will literally reprogram your subconscious mind and shift your vibrational frequency to match your desired reality. When you speak your command morning and night with genuine feeling and unwavering certainty, you're doing what royalty does. You're issuing decrees that you fully expect to be carried out. And that's exactly what you are, by the way. You are royalty in your own life. You're not a beggar, not a victim, not someone who has to settle for whatever scraps the universe decides to throw your way. You're a sovereign being with divine authority over your own experience, and it's time you started acting like it. This daily practice of declaring your command is how you train yourself into that identity, how you step fully into your power, how you become the person who naturally receives the blessings you desire because you know without question that they belong to you. Write in the comments, "I declare it morning and night." Now here's where you need to stay awake and alert, because this is where many people miss their blessings entirely, even though they're showing up exactly as commanded. Your blessing might not arrive in the package you were expecting. In fact, the universe has a delightful sense of humor and loves to surprise you with delivery methods you never would have anticipated. You might command financial abundance while secretly imagining winning the lottery or receiving an inheritance. And meanwhile, 3 different income opportunities appear in your life. A freelance project, a conversation with someone who needs your skills, an idea for a side business, and you completely ignore them because they don't match your preconceived notion of how abundance should arrive. This is crucial to understand. When you command your blessings, you're not allowed to dictate the exact method of delivery. Your job is to be clear about what you want, not to micromanage how the universe brings it to you. The moment you start commanding with authority, opportunities will begin appearing, but they might look like work rather than windfalls, like introductions rather than instant solutions, like small steps rather than giant leaps. Your responsibility is to stay alert, stay open, and say yes when these opportunities knock on your door, even if they're not knocking the way you thought they would. Sometimes your perfect relationship shows up as a friend of a friend at a casual gathering you almost didn't attend. Sometimes your financial breakthrough comes through a conversation with a stranger that leads to an unexpected collaboration. Sometimes your health transformation begins with a random article you stumble across that mentions a specialist or a treatment you'd never heard of. Watch for the signs, trust the journey, and take action when doors open even if they're not the doors you were staring at. Now let's talk about something that's absolutely guaranteed to happen on this journey, and I want to prepare you for it so you don't get derailed when it shows up. Doubt is going to visit you. Not maybe, not possibly, definitely. You're going to command your blessings with all the authority and conviction in the world. You're going to feel amazing and certain and powerful, and then a few days or maybe even a few hours later, that annoying voice in your head is going to whisper, "This is stupid, nothing's happening. You're just talking to yourself like a crazy person. This manifestation stuff doesn't actually work for people like you." When that doubt arrives, and it will, here's exactly how you handle it. Don't fight it, don't try to suppress it, don't beat yourself up for having doubts. Simply acknowledge it like you would acknowledge an old acquaintance you run into on the street. "Oh, there you are, doubt. Thanks for showing up, I see. I hear you, but I've made a different decision now." And then you keep commanding anyway, you keep declaring anyway, you keep acting as if anyway. Because here's what most people don't understand about doubt. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's actually often a sign that you're close to a breakthrough and your old programming is making one last desperate attempt to keep you in familiar territory. And here's something that will either give you tremendous hope or challenge. Everything you think you know about timing and manifestation, the moment right before your blessing actually manifests in physical form, is very often the moment when everything looks the most hopeless, when circumstances seem to be going in completely the opposite direction of what you've been commanding. This is the classic darkest before dawn principle that shows up in every transformation story, every hero's journey, every genuine breakthrough. It's the final push before the baby is born. The last mile of the marathon, when your body is screaming at you to stop. The point in the tunnel where you can't see light in either direction, and you have to choose whether to keep moving forward or turn back. This is the exact moment when most people give up on their blessings. And the tragedy is they never know how incredibly close they were to breakthrough. They've been commanding abundance for weeks. Nothing visible has changed. Bills are still piling up. And they think, "See, I knew this wouldn't work for me." And they abandon the practice entirely, often just days or even hours before the manifestation would have appeared. What Joseph Murphy taught, and what quantum physics now confirms, is that there's often a lag time between the moment something shifts in consciousness and when that shift becomes visible in physical reality. Your blessing might already be formed in the invisible realm, already on its way to you, already guaranteed, but you stop commanding it right before it breaks through into visibility. So when circumstances look unchanged, or even worse, when doubt is screaming louder than ever, when your logical mind is saying this is pointless, that's precisely when you need to double down on your commanding. Speak with even more authority, visualize with even more feeling, take even bolder aligned action. This is the test that separates those who transform their lives from those who stay stuck forever in the same patterns. The universe isn't being cruel when it presents this test. It's actually ensuring that when you receive your blessing, you'll have developed the consciousness required to maintain it. Now let me share a truth with you that will completely liberate you from the fear and anxiety that comes from looking at your current circumstances. The universe, the creative source from which all things flow, is infinite supply. Not abundant supply, not generous supply, but literally infinite, which means there is no end, no limit, no shortage, no scarcity. There's enough money for every person on earth to live in abundance. There's enough love, enough health, enough opportunity, enough joy, enough everything for everyone to have more than they could ever need. Scarcity doesn't exist in reality. It only exists in human consciousness, in the belief systems we've inherited and the fear-based programming we've accepted as true. When you look around and see lack, When you experience financial struggle or relationship scarcity or any form of limitation, you're not seeing objective reality. You're seeing your belief in lack reflected back to you like a mirror showing you exactly what you're projecting. This understanding of infinite supply leads to something beautiful that I want you to really absorb, because it will free you from any lingering guilt about claiming your blessings. When you command and receive abundance, when you step into the blessed life that's waiting for you, you are not taking anything away from anyone else. You're not being greedy or selfish. You're not somehow reducing the available blessings for others. You're simply claiming your portion of the infinite supply. And here's what's absolutely magical about this. Your abundance actually becomes a channel through which blessings flow to other people. Abundance is genuinely contagious in the most wonderful way. When you're financially free, you can be generous with others who are struggling. When you're healthy and vital, you inspire others to prioritize their well-being. When you're in a loving relationship, you give hope to those who are lonely. When you step fully into your blessed life, you're giving everyone around you permission to do the same, because you're demonstrating that it's possible, that it's real, that ordinary people actually can live extraordinary lives. The impact of one person choosing to command their blessings and actually receiving them ripples outward in ways you can't even imagine. So please release any false humility or misguided guilt about wanting more for yourself. Your transformation serves the world, not just you. Now I need to talk about something sneaky that might be operating in your life right now, without you even recognizing it. And once you see this pattern, you'll be able to intercept it before it sabotages your blessings. Resistance is the invisible force that keeps people stuck, and it's incredibly clever about disguising itself so you don't realize it's there. Resistance doesn't usually announce itself loudly by saying, "I'm going to stop you from succeeding." Instead, it shows up as procrastination. You know you should follow up on that promising opportunity, but somehow you just never get around to it. It appears as distraction. You meant to do your visualization practice, but you ended up scrolling social media for an hour instead. It manifests as staying frantically busy with tasks that don't actually matter, while avoiding the one action that would genuinely move you toward your blessing. Resistance is particularly brilliant at disguising self-sabotage as bad luck or unfortunate circumstances. You command financial abundance, and then you accidentally forget about that important meeting. You command a loving relationship, and then you keep choosing emotionally unavailable partners and calling it coincidence. You command health,